All right, welcome back. I hope that you have enjoyed your first chapter, that you've had a good experience, and that you're excited to continue on this journey. So today we are going to be talking about the present progressive. So if we look at the present progressive, the definition of the present progressive tense states the following. The present progressive tense indicates continuing action, something going on now. It can also be used to describe a trend or an action or event in the future, which has already been planned or prepared. So later on in this video, we're going to break this down into a few parts. But just to summarize, pretty much the present progressive is used to talk about actions that are going on right now, something that is continuing or unfolding before us, or a trend or an event in the future that is already planned. Again, like I said, we'll have a few examples later on in this video. So, just like the simple present, the main verb is going to be, and it conjugates the same. I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, and they are. So, as you know, if you notice, the verb to be is conjugated the exact same. So we don't have to learn anything new in that sense. When you are forming negative sentences, this is something that is new, you must include not after the verb to be. Again, we will see a few examples in the general sentence structure in the next slide forward. And when we are forming our questions in the present progressive, you simply switch the pronoun and the verb to be. So here we can see the general structures of pronoun plus our verb to be, and then we have the verb, and so the difference is now we have to add on ing, which in Spanish would be the equivalent of yendo or ando. So for example, I would say in the first example, I am sleeping. So we have our pronoun, we conjugated our verb to be, which in this case would be I am. Then we have our infinitive verb, which would be to sleep, and we added on ing, sleeping. So the translation of this sentence in Spanish would be estoy durmiendo, or yo estoy durmiendo. So as we can break that down into parts, now we're going to see a few of the examples and the exceptions in the spelling for verbs. So if we look at the first example, it says for verbs that end in the letter E, remove the E and add ing. So let's look at the first example. Our first example is slide. If we notice, slide ends with an E. So to follow the rule, first we must remove the E and then add on the end ing. So we get sliding with no E. The same with ride. We have to remove the E and add on the ing. So we get riding. Now, the second bullet point says that for verbs that end in IE, change the IE to Y and add ing. So we have an example here, die, which ends in IE. We take that out, or remove it, and put on a Y, and then add the ing, and we get dying. The same with tie, which changes to tying. Now, that's not too difficult. This last one is a little more difficult, so we're going to have to break this down into a few parts. It says for a verb whose last syllable is written with a consonant, vowel, consonant, so that's a pattern, right? A consonant, and then a vowel, and then a consonant, is stressed, double the last letter before adding ing. So an example is big, right? So you have a consonant, and then a vowel, and then a consonant. The sound of the vowel is stressed, so we have to double the consonant, meaning that we will have two G's and then add on the ing. So we get begging. And in the second example, begin. So we end with a consonant, vowel, consonant with emphasis on the I in begin. Oh, I'm sorry. So that's how we get beginning with a double N. Alright, so I know that's a little more difficult. You'll get the hang of it with some practice. But those are the exceptions to spelling, so it's important to take notes that these are the exceptions, okay? But generally it's pretty simple and you just have to add on an ing. Now, here I took the time to add a few examples. So in the first column, we have all affirmative sentences. So he is sweeping the kitchen. You are giving me a headache. I am taking a test tomorrow. Then we go on to the negative sentences. So if you remember how I stated that in negative sentences in the present progressive, we need to use not. So we have our pronoun plus the verb to be, and then after, following the verb to be, we include not. So I am not working tomorrow. Okay? Now, here's something we haven't seen yet. We have isn't, which would be equal to is not. This is an important thing to remember because almost all English speakers, we want to shorten things as much as we can. So, there's this neat invention in English grammar that some people will say they're compound verbs, contractions. The correct term would be a contraction in this sense. So we have the word is and not, and we can shorten it using an apostrophe and turn it into isn't. So she isn't sleeping right now. Now we can use this in many instances, but for now, you're going to see this in the negative. So she isn't sleeping right now. They aren't running a marathon tomorrow, which would be are not. And lastly, we have our questions. So to make a question, we just switch around the pronoun with the verb to be. So we begin with the verb to be. Am I making myself clear? Is it shaking right now? Are we buying steaks for dinner? Okay, and if you noted when I read those, the tone of my voice goes up as I read the question. That is something that is important in English. That's how we ask a question, okay? And lastly, we'll finish off with our activity. I hope that this class has helped you. Again, I've included a little activity on the right and a few questions for you to answer in your notebook. So take the time to put pause in this video, write down the questions, and answer them. I hope that you've enjoyed this lesson and that you'll have a good rest of this chapter. And I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.